All right. Boom. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Doing this evening, there we go, adjusting my shirt on my sweater. There we go. All right. YouTube, Discord. Hello, everybody. All right. TikTok. And actually, TikTok's ready too. I was good tonight. All right. TikTok. Boom. Go live. Sec here. There we go. Mirror. All right. Good. TikTok's ready too. Woo woo. Woo woo. Crazy. Crazy. Woo. Oh boy. How are we all doing this evening? Hello, all. TikTok, YouTube, Discord. Hello, TikTok. I am well. What is today? November 11th. Oh, that's right. November 11th. Yeah. So like I said, I made a pot pie today. That was kind of exciting. Today's Veterans Day in America. So that's always a nice holiday. Honor our troops. Bonsoir, Genève. Ça va? But yeah, so things are, the news, the news. The news is, the news is perhaps slightly better than yesterday, not by much, but maybe perhaps slightly. So we will see. Anyway, carnival season? What does that mean, Mike? It's November. Isn't carnival like February? A different carnival, I'm guessing. Refurb Man is here. Well, if you're here, then I guess we can start. We've achieved our goal. Anyway, welcome everybody. John Aravosis here, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. This is my nightly show. We talk about the latest news. I was going to say the latest weather. We don't talk about the latest weather. We do talk about the latest news from Washington and beyond. It is Lac Plessis Day in Latvia. What day is that for? Germany, the season starts on the 11th of November. What season is that though? Christmas, you mean? Or when you say carnival, I think of, Mardi Gras in February and stuff. I'm guessing you don't do the Hey, Jean-Marc. Carnival. So actual carnival. It starts now. Well, you guys party. The Germans start the February carnival in November? In early November? It goes till February. That's hilarious. That's funny. I never knew that. In Latvia, it's a Memorial Day for soldiers who fought for the independence of Latvia. Okay. Same here, really. Veterans Day. It's for military veterans. Yeah. Okay. And to you, Edsel. Yeah. So very interesting. Oh, so Latvia celebrates Veterans Day basically as well today. They call it something different, but it's a Memorial Day for the soldiers who fought for the independence of Latvia. Interesting. A metalhead? I am not a metalhead. Kurt Vonnegut's birthday. I'm probably more Kurt Vonnegut than I am metalhead. Well, it's possible there's a few metal bands. It depends how you define metal, I guess. I tend to be progressive rock, but I like stuff like the Scorpions. I don't know if that's the metal, but I like the Scorpions and a few things like that are harder. Because I think they've got there's a progressive rock kind of thing to it. But I don't know what metal would be. I suspect metal I would not like. So Fish isn't metal. Is it? I don't know Godsmack. See, I'm not going to know a ton of the groups that you guys said. It figures they're alt-rockish because I like them. That's what I was going to say. That figures, yeah. And I was going to say true metal. What would be the biggest name, like the biggest metal bands that are out there? But the most like forever Soundgarden. I like Soundgarden. That's not metal. There's no way Soundgarden is metal. Metallica, no. Yeah, exactly. Korn isn't metal, though, are they? See, I can't think. Even Metallica, I'd have to think of what songs. Megadeth, I know the names, but I'd have to. AC/DC? Ugh. Nine Inch Nails is not metal. There's no way. No way. Because I like Nine Inch Nails. There's no way Nine Inch Nails is metal. I'm going to guess. Offspring, I love Offspring too, though, but that can't be metal. My guess is if I like them, they're probably not metal. That's the thing, right? Black Sabbath, I'd have to think of what the music is, though. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Nine Inch Nails would. I just, bottom line, like I said, when I like groups, they tend to be progressive rock or progressive rock related. Although I like, Karen Carpenter's nice. I mean, totally different, obviously. But yeah, Nine Inch Nails, I would have said alternative. Soundgarden too. Soundgarden would be what I like. Anyway, all right, guys, welcome. Linkin Park, they're okay. My nephew Anthony was really into them, and I remember listening to a bunch of their music. There was like one song that I kind of liked that was really popular for Linkin Park, and I remember all the rest of them. I was like, Anyway, welcome, guys. How are we doing this evening? I'm John Aravosis, my show. We talk about the latest news from Washington and beyond. I'm in Washington, D.C., so I tend to have an American perspective on I don't want to say an American perspective, but I am here. Thank you, Louis, for the gift. I am here, so I tend to sort of focus on what's going on in the craziness in Washington and also some Ukraine news as well. Do keep the gifts coming. I very much appreciate your support. There you go. Subscriptions, always good. Gifts, always good. TikTok, YouTube, Discord subscriptions as well. Supports my work. I do this for a living, so always very happy when you're supportive. So thank you, guys. Anyway, yes. So the House is expected to vote tomorrow on opening the government. Gene, that's a happy birthday. That's a happy birthday, Gene. Is it somebody's birthday, or are you just buying a nice gift? Or are you just happy to see me? That is a happy birthday. Is it somebody's birthday in particular or no? Possibly. Oh, didn't know. Okay. It's always somebody's birthday. Whose birthday is it legitimately today? Because there's 365 and we've got more than that now anyway. So it has to be somebody's birthday today. It always is. It's funny because there's only 365 days in a year. So usually when we do this, we get several birthdays. I'm not seeing birthdays here. Yeah. Oh, well, no birthdays. 3 days? Well, that kind of works. That works. We can do Big Hawk's birthday. Your cat turned 16. It's an early happy birthday for me. That's true. Mine's in 2 weeks. A little more than 2 weeks. Mine's Thanksgiving Day. So 16 days. Jean-Marquis, what, yours is a week from tomorrow? Oh, okay. CJ's is tomorrow. All right. We got a number of birthdays. All right. I mean, so what do you think the rules are? Do I have to sing happy birthday if somebody didn't know they were doing the happy birthday gift? How's that work? And it's not their birthday. Yeah, I know. No, yes, no, yes. Oh, you guys are funny. Although it is Big Hawks. We'll do for Big Hawk and everybody else. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Big Hawk and everybody else. And Zerpachi's cat. Happy birthday to you. Oh, I don't mind. It's fine. It's one of the gifts. You know, it's on the better than a UN story because I'd have to really think hard about my UN stories. My favorite Metallica song. Yeah, my favorite metal song. Like I said, I don't think my guess is there must be some. Christina, thank you for the Halloween for the Thanksgiving focused gift, the pumpkin. My dog's birthday is January 20th. 20th, yes. It's actually ironically Inauguration Day, which is kind of funny. But yes, it's the 20th. So she turns. She's already November. She's almost 16. Woo. Man, I keep saying 15 and a half. She's no longer 15 and a half because her birthday's January. Where do you know me from? Who knows? I can't say I know a lot of Yeasty McCravens, so not too sure about that. Actually, I did see, it was kind of cute. I was at the grocery store today and at the pharmacy, and a woman comes behind me, older, and she goes, I know you. And like a foreign accent too. I know you. And she's older. And the older thing had me a little stumped because she could have been 65, 70. I don't know. And she goes, I walked up and I heard your voice and I said, I know that person. And I looked at her and I said, because I'm thinking there's no way. I said, is there any chance you use TikTok? And she goes, I love TikTok. I said, well, you might know me from TikTok. And she goes, oh my God, that's it. But it was the cutest thing because it was, I did not expect the demographic to be, although honestly, our demographic is all over the place, but it was very cute because I was kind of going, you're kind of like, whenever that happens, it's usually TikTok, but oh, hello. The dragon. Thank you for the dragon. Who's that, Louise? Thank you, Louise. It was very cute. It was very cute. Well, I mean, I'm not really that young either, but it surprises me a little like that when it was somebody older than me. I don't expect that as much. I sort of expect 40s. You know, I do get a lot of 30s and 40s. I get, which is fun. It's not too much. It's just enough to be nice, basically. You know, when I was doing my blogging, it would happen a little too much. My nose is itching again today. And like, it's funny. It's a little creepy. It can be creepy. Not to me, because I don't get it that much, but it could be a little creepy when people recognize you in public, because all of a sudden then you're walking around going, okay, what do I look like? Did I bathe? Am I wearing, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's something a little, I don't know. It's funny. I mean, I don't have the problem though. I think the people, the big broadcasters like Harry Enton or the other boys, I think it's got to be hard, you know, but, and they're big enough that all the bad guys are after them too. Thank you, Adventures. All right, so let's get rolling. So yes, so the Senate passed its government reopening bill, the bill to shut down the shutdown, and now it goes to the House of Representatives. They're going to vote on it expectedly tomorrow. It will pass, so the government will reopen. Very interesting that the aviation is still screwed up, and it's going to be screwed up. This is an interesting story. So, you know, Trump and his, thank you, Carrie. Very nice gift there. Thank you, Carrie. Trump and his transportation secretary have been playing games with aviation. They're basically using our flights as political leverage. They were starting to shut down flights and stuff to put pressure on Democrats, and really obnoxious. Well, at the same time, the problem is they lie, right? The problem is Trump is a pathological liar. There isn't anything he says that you can trust. Sometimes I'm sure he's telling the truth, probably, but because he's a pathological liar, you never know when he's telling the truth. And looking into this today, it sounds like maybe there are actually problems with the air traffic controllers. They're claiming that basically air traffic controllers, because it's an essential job, they've got to show up, right? Because if they don't show up, the airline industry shuts down. Well, a lot of them were pissed off that they weren't being paid, right? And they, mods, I don't know who that person is or why they're putting numbers up, but obviously block them because maybe they're trying to dox somebody. Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but it looks like a doxing attempt. The air traffic controllers, some of them, are apparently refusing to come to work because they're not getting paid. Now, they'll get paid afterwards, but they're not coming to work. Now, I appreciate the sentiment, but at the same time, you've got a job that requires showing up for work. And I don't have a lot of sympathy there. I'm sorry, but it is. It's like a doctor or whatever else. And yeah, it sucks. But here's the problem too. You chose to work for the federal government. When you work for the federal government, sometimes there will be government shutdowns and you'll be expected to work. That's just the way it is. Or sometimes there'll be government shutdowns and you won't be expected to work, and you're going to hope that you get paid, afterwards, right? It's in any case, it's a weird, it's kind of a weird story. It's got me wondering whether, in fact, the air traffic controllers are playing games, because they're basically saying between now and Thanksgiving in 2 weeks, it's not clear that our airlines are going to be back. It's the aviation stuff could be a disaster between now and then, is what the stories are saying. It's going to take that long to get these people back. It seems a little weird to me. Let me read you this from CNN. While the government shutdown may soon be in the rearview mirror, it could impact air travel for months. And experts say the window for sufficient recovery before Thanksgiving is narrow. Essential FAA employees who have worked during the shutdown will not immediately receive back pay, and some may choose not to return to work right away. Some air traffic controllers will never return to their jobs and are retiring or quitting to find work where they will not be subject to government shutdowns. If controllers come back to the job, pilot and aviation consultant Kit Darby thinks it might take airlines a week or two to snap back. I'd like to know more what that means, but that sounds kind of a mess. What I don't know is whether they mean flights have been canceled and it ripples and you've got to get those people on flights. Like, do they mean that? Or do they mean we're not going to have enough employees for the next 2 weeks? That's a bit screwed up. It's a little screwed up. I don't know. Anyway, Anyway, the CNN, and that's what I just read you. Oh, so this was interesting. So this was also CNN. There was interesting analysis on CNN saying that basically coming out of the government shutdown, Republicans are in real trouble on the healthcare issue. I hope that's true. I think, there's one silver lining to the shutdown, which is clear. Again, Democrats caved, and I think it's bullshit. But and this whole notion of, but Republicans said they weren't gonna cave, so we had to cave. Have you never been in a negotiation in your life? Of course, the other guy said they're not going to cave. That's what they do, right? But Democrats succeeded in making the shutdown about healthcare, about the cost of healthcare. And the Republicans succeeded in saying, we're not going to fix healthcare prices, right? We don't care. Now, the Republicans, here's the problem for the Republicans. They could say, no, we said we're not going to do it, while being coerced. Republicans are going to say, oh, no, we simply said during if you shut down the government, we're not going to fix healthcare. But afterwards, okay, it's afterwards now. So what's going on, right? That's the problem for Republicans. Now it's afterwards. Are they fixing it? No. Right? Do they have any plans to fix it? No. Do they have any plans like strategies overall to address healthcare? No. Donald Trump has been promising since 2015 to repeal Obamacare. They held like 82 votes or something, right? 1 second, Carlos. Yep. They held 82 votes or something Trump's first term to repeal Obamacare. Never once did Trump or the Republicans come up with a proposal to replace Obamacare with. And Trump has been asked about it. Guys, it's been 10 years that they've been trying to destroy my healthcare and your healthcare. And they don't even have a replacement. I mean, that is the one good thing coming out of this is all of us are getting hit with massive price increases. Inflationary, on just inflation alone, I'm probably going to have to pay $1,500 to $2,000 more for the inflationary increase of my healthcare next year, my insurance for the year. It may also go up $4,000 from the Obamacare premium, the subsidy that's getting phased out. So the total price increase for me could be $6,000 next year. $6,000. And I am not alone. And there's a lot of other people being affected by this too. They're going to be pissed. And guess what? The biggest share of them are in Republican states and Republican parts of the country. So that is the only good thing coming out of this shutdown, so to speak, is that Republicans own healthcare. Republicans made clear they don't want to fix healthcare. Republicans made clear they don't want to help you and me with the cost of our healthcare. And that's going to be a problem for them because in about 1 month, all of us are going to have to start paying. The way Obamacare works, and my nose is itching terribly today. The way, we were playing with the dogs, and I think with all the dogs in the hall, and I think I came in and actually, I'm going to wash my hand. I think I came in and I didn't wash my hands, and I'm rubbing my nose and making it worse. One moment. There we go. All right. That's better. All righty. Okay. That's better. That had to be what it is. I pet 4 dogs in the hall and then rubbed my face, and it's like, oh God, allergies. But yeah, this is not good for Republicans. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So Obamacare, right? The new premium increases go into effect in January. You've got to pay before January. You have to pay January's bill in December. So basically, by the end of December, every one of us is going to have to pay more for our healthcare, for our health insurance, which means by January 1st, people are going to be pissed off. So again, that's the only saving grace here is people are going to be furious at the Republicans. So let's see, but it's It's yeah. Real quick here. This was via CNN. In an NBC News poll taken last month during the shutdown, 10% of respondents cited the cost of healthcare premiums as the single top issue deciding their vote for Congress next year. 49% of respondents said Democrats would do a better job dealing with healthcare, compared with 26% who thought Republicans would do a better job. Trump today, I have to read you this. This is amazing. Trump is getting very upset about the economy and inflation. And it's actually very funny because he's clearly getting pissed off about it. Today, he went on a rant and accused people complaining about inflation and prices as lying. He said that you were lying if you were complaining about inflation, that it was all a Democratic plot and you're liars. Typically, that's not the kind of thing that works. Right? Because you and I know how much things cost. Trump is a very good liar. He lies very well. But you can't lie about prices, right? Prices are, the price of stuff, you can't lie about it, right? We all know how much it costs to pay for our health care. We all know how much it costs to buy coffee at the store. We all know how much it costs to buy meat, to buy eggs, whatever, right? It's very weird. And Carlos said, when will Grijalva get her seat? So Grijalva, who's the congresswoman, Democrat, who was elected in Arizona in September 23rd or so, I am guessing she should be sworn in tomorrow because they're going to vote to end the government shutdown. Okay, they should vote tomorrow, knowing the Republicans, they may drag it out another day. But I will bet you the next day or two, they'll finally seat her. So listen to this on Trump. Okay. President Trump said the U.S. economy is strong and insisted polls showing Americans are feeling economic pain are fake. I love this. I love this. Yes, it's recorded, little spooky person. I freaking love this. That Trump thinks it's fake. The polls are fake. That your concerns about the economy, your concerns about inflation are fake. That is the worst thing to tell people. Listen, I'm going to read this. Trump said the U.S. economy is strong and insisted polls showing Americans are feeling economic pain are fake during an interview on Fox News that aired on Monday night. Trump said bad news about the economy amounted to a con job by the Democrats, adding Democrats feed major news network anchors with the message that the economy is bad, and then every anchor does exactly what they're told. He also lied about the price of gasoline coming down. He says, so are you ready? Costs are way down, Trump said. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 a gallon pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 right now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. By the way, all of this is a lie. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down and everybody agrees, we're going to drill, baby. It's going to be wild. So Trump claimed gasoline is at $2.70 right now. It's actually at $3.07. $3.07. It's not $2.70. He claims it's going to be $2 soon. There's no reason to believe that. He claims it's much lower than it was under Biden. Gasoline is at $3.07 right now. Guess how much it was under Biden a year ago? $3.08. It's 1 penny cheaper. I kid you. I read this and I went, oh my God. It's $3.07 right now on average, and it was $3.08 a year ago. Trump got gasoline to come down 1 penny in a year. That's it. And he bragged today, and this is part of his rant claiming you're lying, according to Donald Trump, if you complain about prices. You're lying. Gasoline's great. Gasoline's not great. Prices in the store are horrific, and he's calling everybody liars for saying that inflation's a problem. Annie, thank you for the question. Oh, thank you. Very generous question, Annie. Any chance of getting Schumer removed as minority leader? What would it take to replace him? It would take members of Congress because they pick their own leader. Democrats, so they would have to. I don't know what the process is. I don't know if there's a process for removing him. Like each new Congress, you vote in the new leader, but I don't know whether you can actually remove anybody. It's hard because Schumer says he did not support ending the shutdown, but these other members did. As I said, I'm a little suspicious on what happened with the shutdown because everybody who voted to end the shutdown didn't have to. The only one that makes sense is Fetterman because he's crazy, right? And so I'm not surprised he's turning into a Republican. He probably will become a Republican because he's lost his mind. Okay, sure, he voted to end the shutdown, but all the other people, none of them are up for re-election next year, so they're not feeling pressure. Two of them aren't even running again, period. Two of them are leaving, Jeanne Shaheen and Dick Durbin. Why would they vote for it? Why do they care, right? Jeanne Shaheen's daughter is running for I forget, I want to say the House, but it's the actual state house, I think, the New Hampshire State House. And her daughter is opposing it. And frankly, it could make her daughter look bad. I mean, even though you're not your mom, right? It's very weird. It's very, I just have a feeling, as I said yesterday, that it's almost as if the Democrats organized this and picked 8 people who could get away with voting to reopen the government, right? That's my guess. Anyway, but I love that. So if you're worried about the economy, Donald Trump calls you a liar and says it's fake. If you're worried about inflation, Donald Trump says it's fake. By the way, I was at the store today and I got an espresso kind of machine a couple years ago. I like it. I liked my old coffee because I liked having a longer coffee, like a bigger coffee, but it's fine. The Nespresso is good. It's just I don't like having a quick little coffee. I used to get Pete's coffee, and very good Pete's coffee. I had heard that they had shrunk the shrinkflation, they call it, where they keep the price the same, but they shrink the amount to screw you. Pete's coffee used to be 12 ounces. Now it's 10 ounces. So that's 15%, maybe 15% that they got rid of, right? Right. So first they shrunk it 15% from 15%. Yeah, it's about 15% from $12 to 10, or from ounces to 10 ounces. The price used to be like $10. Then it was $12. The price today for a 10-ounce Pete's coffee, it was $10 and $12 for 12 ounces. For 10 ounces, the price today was $15 at my grocery store. And I do not go to expensive grocery stores. I go to normal grocery stores. I don't go to Whole Foods. I don't go to that place, Wegmans or whatever it's called. I go to normal stores like Harris Teeter, which my Harris Teeter's very good prices. And for DC, they're very normal prices. I did the math. Pete's coffee went up 50% in price. Thank you, Addie, for the gift. 50% in price. It went up. By the price decrease, and actually by the size decrease and the price increase, it's 50% that they increased it. That is horrific. That is absolutely horrific. And you know who's to blame for that? In large part, Donald Trump. Guess how big the tariff is that Donald Trump put on Brazil? 50%. Guess how much of our coffee comes from Brazil? 1/3. 1/3 of all the coffee in America comes from Brazil. Donald Trump increased the cost of that coffee, the price of it, by 50% with his tariffs. Why did Donald Trump increase the price of coffee by 50%? And this is really the most outrageous part of it, okay? Trump was mad at Brazil because they convicted his buddy, the former president, his buddy, Bolsonaro, of trying to violently overthrow the government. Sound familiar? Trump doesn't like it when you stop people from violently overthrowing governments. So I kid you not, the court found Bolsonaro guilty of trying to violently overthrow the government. They found him guilty of planning to execute the guy who won. They were going to kill the guy who won. And they found him guilty and threw him in jail. And Trump said, if you find him guilty, thank you, G-Man, for the tree. If you find him guilty, I'm socking you with a 50% tariff. So let's just summarize here. Because Brazil found its former president guilty of trying to violently overthrow the government, Trump decided to tax Americans with a 50% tax on our coffee. Again, tariffs are taxes that you and I pay. Tariffs are not taxes that foreigners pay. Trump lies about this a lot. And you need to Google this and you will see that I'm telling you the truth. Google tariffs and ask who pays tariffs. It's Americans, it's American companies, and it's American consumers. Trump was pissed off at the Brazilians for convicting the former president of trying to violently overthrow the government. So he hit all of us Americans with a 50% tax on our coffee. Yeah. So if you're upset about the price of coffee, if you're upset that in my case, my favorite coffee that I used to buy is up 50%, blame Donald Trump. And Trump today, now around the story I talked about before, Trump today claimed that prices are back to normal and anybody who complains about inflation is lying. He claimed it's a lie if you complain about inflation. Man, I mean, it boggles my mind. Folgers. Well, you could certainly buy Folgers if you like, Lisa. I can't do that. There's a limit. There's a limit to my thriftiness. But anyway, what else we got? Story the other day, like a good dictator, Trump wants the new sports stadium in DC to be named after him. He's kind of demanding it. Democrats better get ready for this because I fear that Democratic politicians, or at least the leadership, are going to say, let the Republicans do it. Not that we can stop them, but let the Republicans do it because who cares? They did this with Reagan. They renamed our airport after Reagan. Our airport was Washington National Airport. They renamed it Reagan National. None of us call it Reagan. Only people who are new call it Reagan. There was a famous debate in Congress about this. And the Republicans said, it's about time our airport was named after a president. And one of the representatives from Virginia or Maryland, who was brilliant, what's his face? Moran, turns around and he goes, it already is named after a president, you idiot. It was the Washington National Airport. It was named after George Washington. but they decided to name it after Ronald Reagan. And they are going to do the same thing to Donald Trump. I guarantee you right now, they're going to name Dulles Airport, our second the international airport, they will name after Donald Trump. I'm telling you. They're going to name the field after Donald Trump. They're going to name buildings in town after Donald Trump. They'll name highways. It is going to be nonstop. I guarantee Mount Rushmore, keep an eye on it. And I'm quite serious. They're going to put his face on a coin, not just on a coin. He's going to want his face on a bill, on a big bill, or maybe a bill that's maybe not even a big bill. He wants it on a bill that's going to be used. Just wait. They're going to do this stuff. And I think a lot of Democrats are going to not care because they're going to say, oh, who cares? It's a cultural thing. This is how you enshrine the dictatorship and the ideology in the culture of the country forever. This man is the biggest crook we have ever had as president. There's a wonderful article from a couple months ago by David Brooks in The Atlantic, Republican, David Brooks, talking about how his article was actually trying to figure out how could so many Americans support a man who is such a disgusting, immoral, unethical, criminal human being as Donald Trump. And David Brooks is a Republican. But it was a very interesting article about that. They're going to try to immortalize this man and his criminality. It's sick. Yeah. Anyway, Stefan, I'm Chicago. So if I say coffee at all funny, it's a Chicago thing, not a New York thing. But I never really. Do we say it funny? Coffee? Or did I say coffee? If I said it, it's a Chicago thing. If I said it, it's not a New York thing. But that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Yay, Chicago. Yay, Chicago. I don't use any camera patch. I'm using my iPad. And now I've got on my computer. I've also got showing this on YouTube. My computer is using my computer camera. Thank you, Andrew. Do you have a choice for a screaming goat? We have the Halloween goat, the small regular goat, and the large oversized goat. You may, or I think you knew that. The gift you bought entitles you to a screaming goat or a screaming goat audio. Waiting for Andrew to weigh in. And thank you for the gift. Maybe we should get the Christmas goat. You know, the mic is working with the iPad. I'm sure it is. The classic? Okay. Coke. Goat classic. it's like Coke classic. Ah! We do need to get it. I will have to get it one more time. Ah! Thank you, Andrew. By the way, this is how we know the mic is working, because if I do this, the mic should be quieter. And when I do this, it should get louder and better. And especially if I talk like this and get really close to my mouth, but kind of talk quietly, it should be a much deeper kind of luscious kind of discussion. No, kind of ASMR-ish. So am I right? That's how you know the mic is working. Yeah, I can look at the Christmas goat. The problem is the Christmas goat doesn't make any Christmassy sounds, which is annoying. I was looking for a goat that would play Christmas songs and stuff, but we've got the small goat that is regular, just so everybody can see. We've got the oversized goat that is regular, but he's big, and jingles. And then we have the Halloween goat that is now out of season, but still very cool. Which is pretty damn fun. I still may have to retire the Halloween goat until next year, just to kind of make it special. Now, we also have this guy. He's the repeating what is he? What animal is this? It's not a hedgehog. What the hell is this? It's like a chipmunk or something. And the chipmunk repeats what he hears. Hold on. That wasn't bad. He's a groundhog. Are you a groundhog? Actually, I learned I have to speak slowly so it can be better understood. Isn't that cute? Chipmunk. Oh, chipmunk. You're right. It's a chipmunk. So we do have the chipmunk. Well, we're getting one more here. Where's the? Oh, actually. Oh, that's funny. So we do have. I may have to set him up. We may have to set him up for something. I don't know what. But yes, there is a Christmas one. I may get the Christmas one, but the Christmas one doesn't do Christmas songs, which is kind of annoying. It simply looks Christmassy, but it doesn't make Christmas sounds. Nonetheless, it's pretty. So we'll see. But also, the Christmas one kind of pissed me off because I think they're trying to charge $25 for it, which is bullshit because it's the same thing, but it just looks Christmassy. So I don't know. He's got a small tail. It's a small little tail, but he's got a tail. Anyway, a screaming pickle. Oh, that's interesting. We could branch out if we had to. I didn't do that before. I don't want to go too much tangents right now. I didn't look on Amazon for screaming. That's a very good Black Friday week. Let's look for screaming. Oh, geez, there's screaming everything here. Okay, now we're getting down the rabbit hole. There's a screaming chicken, a screaming pickle, a screaming meanie, a screaming Sicilian pizza. Let's see what the chicken looks like. Oh no, the chicken oh my God, those chickens are these screaming where you squeeze the chicken toys and they go, wah. You know what I mean? We know about that. Okay, we know about that. Screaming. We know about screaming goat. Hang on. What was the other one I said? There's a screaming goat and chicken. We already know that. Okay. Well, we've already screaming toy. We've already got a screaming monkey. Oh. Gagster screaming goat dancing. Oh, $27? Are you insane? These are too much. Oh. A flying screaming, a flingshot monkey. He doesn't scream though. Okay, I'm going to give up now. Somebody will have to look around for me and find a good. Oh, hang on here. Not doing anything. It's not doing anything. Okay, that was useless. All right. Well, I'm not feeling. I know Temu. I wonder what they. I wonder what the tariffs are though on Temu and that stuff. You know, do they tell you when you buy it, or do you get surprised when it arrives? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, mods, just leave that person because I kind of like the fact that they're helping our algorithm. I was gonna say you can mute them, but I think it's kind of funny. They're helping. The goof decided to like comment, and he's like, "I don't like you, block me." And it's like, well, now you just helped my algorithm. So, I think it's kind of funny actually when they say that kind of stuff. Screaming, yeah. So anyway, the other screaming goats are like $9 and $10, which is good. $25, I think, is bullshit. I'm a little too frugal for a $25 screaming goat, so we will see. Yeah, see what's on Temu and Alibaba Junior or whatever the hell it's called. Alibaba. It's not Alibaba. What do they call it? Ali something. What the hell is it called? Whatever it is. But see what you can find. See what you can find. All right. There is a little bit of Ukraine news. So I will Pokrovsk. So the Russians have been trying for. Look what's back. It's back. The Russians have been trying for a year to get the Ukrainian town of Pokrovsk. It is right here northwest of here's Donetsk, right north of Donetsk. Again, the Republicans have been trying for a year. Some people or some of the analysts are saying it doesn't really matter if they get. I mean, it matters to the Ukrainians. They don't want to lose the town, but it's not like it's some incredibly amazing success if the Russians get this town. The Independent, which I think some of you don't like the Independent, but it sometimes I find I like its coverage of Ukraine. Let me read you this. Zelensky says the military situation in Pokrovsk remains difficult with the bad weather in the area favoring Russian forces. Sharing an update from Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrskyi, the Ukrainian president said Kyiv's main focus right now is on the Pokrovsk direction and the Zaporizhia region, where the Russians are increasing the number and scale of assaults. Ukrainian forces face a difficult situation in Pokrovsk, in part because of weather conditions that favor the Russian attacks. Russia deployed, this was the wild part, and I heard this before, but Russia deployed about 150,000 troops to drive towards the city in Ukraine's eastern region. Kyiv's military said on Tuesday morning they believed that there were about 300 Russian troops inside the city. But the Russians put 150,000 troops. I then heard an analysis or a report today by Preston Stewart, our I'll say friend, professional friend, Preston Stewart, who we like a lot. He's another TikToker and YouTuber. Preston said that since the beginning of the year, he said between 80 to 90,000 Russian troops have been killed just fighting for Pokrovsk. And Pokrovsk has got to be, I'm going to guess population 5,000. I don't know what's the, let's see. Hey, boyfriend, what is the population of Pokrovsk, Ukraine?
So originally, Pokrovsk had around 60,000 people before the war escalated. But as of now, it's down to fewer than 1,500 residents because it's become a frontline area.
Okay, so it's 1,500 now, but it was 60,000. So 60,000 before. Okay. But Preston said that 80,000 Russian troops have been killed since the beginning. Because I remember him saying, he did say 80,000, and he said approximately 80 to 90. He said approximately 8 to 9,000 a month are being killed. Guys, 80,000 men they've lost since the beginning of the year fighting in one town. They're out of their minds. I mean, the thing is, at some point, this has got to impact them. I mean, I mean, Putin doesn't care. He's like Trump. He doesn't care. But the Russian people, I mean, damn, right? Amazing. This story, I hope, is true. Not that it was foiled, but the Russians are claiming they foiled a plot. But it sounds like such a delicious plot that I'm hoping it's true just on the attaboy that they tried this. Russian security services say it had foiled a plot by Ukrainian and British spies to tempt Russian pilots to steal a MiG-31 jet armed with a Kinzhal hypersonic missile for $3 million. The hijacked jet was to be flown towards a NATO airbase in the Romanian city of Constanta, where it could have been shot down by air defenses. I hope that's true. It could be. I mean, the Russians are pathological liars, the government, so there's no reason to trust them with any of these reports. But it sounds true, and I hope it is true because it's a brilliant idea. Finally, huge explosions reported at two oil factories, oil plants in Russia, oil refineries. The Ukrainians have been attacking the Russian energy infrastructure because the Russians are attacking the Ukrainian energy infrastructure. They're trying to make it as painful as possible with winter coming, and the Ukrainians are going, okay, we'll do the same thing. So hopefully they're doing a lot of damage there. Yes, the Ukrainians did previously have a project to ask Russian pilots to defect. It was called "I Want to Live," or so. It was like, what was it like? "Я хочу." What is live in Russian? I used to know this. Or Ukrainian. It's the same word in Ukrainian and Russian, to live. It's not itsi. That's to go. What is live? Somebody knows what the word is in Ukrainian or Russian for to live. Simple word, but I'm forgetting now. But the name of it was "I Want to Live." And it was a Ukrainian program to basically any kind of Russians who want to leave and they want to bring weapons with or anything else. And they could also get paid off too. Like there was a certain amount of money you'd get for a tank, for an F-15 or an F-15. Zhitsi? Okay. Zhits, I guess, is the zhits would be the infinitive. I don't remember anymore. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I did not live in Russia. I studied Russian for a year. But after a year, you learn some. Well, I learned something, but I only studied it for "Я хочу жить." Okay. But yeah, so it had I had studied it, so I can do a little. And I went to the Soviet Union, which was a lot of fun. Actually, I've been to Russia too, subsequently, once for about 2 weeks. But the Soviet Union was fascinating. Horrible, but fascinating. Anyway. So, all right, done with the news. Now we hang out. I mean, we can talk about the news though, but I'm the 50-year mortgage. We can talk about it again, Rhea. I'm going to I put the camera down so I can relax a little bit. Trump is pushing this. Actually, he got called out on it by Laura Ingraham, which is pretty funny. So Trump is pushing this 50-year mortgage now. It's a scam. He must be doing it for one of his rich donors because everything with Trump, it's a total scam. So Trump, and I kind of fell for it at first. I heard about it and I thought, oh God, this sounds nice. So the way it works is in America, most of our mortgages are 30-year. Sometimes they're 15-year, but that's kind of for rich people. You can't really afford a 15-year mortgage. It's just too expensive. But you could afford 30 years, the typical. Well, the 30-year is significantly cheaper month by month than a 15-year. 15-year because you're paying so much up front. So the idea is it's more affordable to get a 30-year. You're paying more. In a 30-year, you're paying a lot more money though over the 30 years, but the monthly bill is more affordable. So Trump is claiming he's having his people work on a new 50-year mortgage because if you can save a lot of money by getting a 30-year mortgage versus a 15, imagine the money you can save getting a 50-year mortgage over a 30, meaning your bill will go down so much if you get 50 years instead of 30-year mortgage. The papers did the analysis. It's a total lie. The papers did the analysis. I also had ChatGPT do the analysis yesterday, and it came up with the exact conclusion, the exact amount of money. The New York Times did the analysis, and ChatGPT did the same one. Take a $500,000 mortgage, okay, and do it at 30 years and do it at 50 years. What happens at 50 years is because it's a longer mortgage, the rate's higher, and that always happens anyway. But it said, let's say ChatGPT and the New York Times said even higher. The experts said if it's 6% for a 30-year, expect the 50-year to be more like 6.7 or 6.9. ChatGPT said, let's just assume it's 6.5%. So let's be conservative and fair, meaning let's be extra nice to Trump. So let's say your 30-year mortgage, $500,000, 6%. Your 50-year mortgage, $500,000, 6.5%. Guess how much your monthly bill would be for your mortgage. Okay. Your 30-year mortgage would be $3,000 a month for your 30-year mortgage, 6%. Your 50-year mortgage would be less than and it wouldn't be 3,000. 3,000 was the 30-year. Guess how much your 50-year would be? $2,910. It was $90 cheaper, and that was it. $90 cheaper. That's it. The problem is a 50-year mortgage is akin to an interest-only mortgage. You're not making any money on it. None of your bills, none of your payments are going into the principal. For the first 20 years, most of your payments are going for interest. So if you sell the house after 20 years, you have no equity at all in your house. None. And the benefit you get is $90 a month. And by the way, $90 is on a $500,000 mortgage. A $250,000 mortgage, I'm assuming, means $45. So let's take because I'm sorry, but $500,000 mortgage is huge. My mortgage wasn't that big. I'm going to guess, I shouldn't say huge, but that's a decent size. I'm going to guess most Americans are more like, what would be the average? Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the average mortgage in America. Hey, boyfriend, what size is the average mortgage in America?
So right now, the average mortgage size in the U.S. is about $149,600 per borrower.
That's it. Wow. So, okay, $149,600 mortgage. I want you to do a calculation for me. What would be the monthly payment if you had a 30-year mortgage doing that? And what would be the monthly payment if you had a 50-year mortgage on that $149,000 mortgage? What I want to do is see how much would the average American save monthly if they did a 50-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage?
Absolutely. Let's break that down. We'll assume a fixed interest rate just for the sake of comparison. Let's say a 30-year mortgage might be around 6% interest, and a 50-year mortgage could be a bit higher. Let's say 6.5%. So for $149,600 at 6% over 30 years, the monthly payment would be about $897. For the same amount at 6.5% over 50 years, the monthly payment would drop to about $836. In other words, you'd be saving roughly around $61 a month by going for the 50-year mortgage instead of the 30-year one.
Okay. So $60 a month. I mean, I guess $60 is okay, but that $60 a month, means you are not getting any equity at all. For the first 20 years, you are going to have almost no equity. For the first 20 years, every dollar you spent will go to the bank. It won't go to pay off the principal on your house. For the rest of us, after 20 years, a lot of it's going to principal. So you're losing a lot of money, but you're gaining $60. And $60 a month, I mean, sure, in a year that's $700, okay, right? That's nice in a year, but $700? Really? To trade off that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. That's just crazy. Yeah. $60 a month for an extra 20 years. I mean, but so this is what Trump is doing. And I think it's a fair guess that Trump is doing this because some rich donor wants him to do it so they can make a lot of money. It's not about people like you and me saving money. He's not doing it to help us. Everything's a lie with this guy. I mean, as we said, he claims that inflation's gone. It's not. And by the way, what's important as well about Trump's lies, the fact that he's a pathological liar means he's never going to help you. He's claiming that there's no inflation, that inflation's solved. It's a lie. If inflation's solved, Trump doesn't have to fix inflation. If it's solved, if inflation's over, he doesn't have to fix it. Biden did not lie too. No. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. Biden probably got things wrong. Biden might have lied to the degree that a normal human being would lie, meaning George Bush probably lied occasionally. Well, okay, he did a big lie, but still. Bill Clinton lied. Al Gore lied. Everybody lied sometimes, but to a small degree. Republican presidents and Democratic presidents generally don't lie nonstop. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. Donald Trump is the difference between saying everybody lies and that guy I know is such a liar that literally not a single word comes out of his mouth that's true. You all know the kind of person I'm talking about, right? Somebody where they're such a con man that you'd never trust. George Santos, the congressman that was convicted of being a fraudster, right? Where he's just a fraudster. That's different than saying, oh, we're all like George Santos, because all of us have lied at some point in life, right? Presidents in general have lied like all of us have lied. Republican and Democrat. Donald Trump is a different category. No Republican has ever lied like Donald Trump. No Democrat has ever lied like Donald Trump. So to suggest that Joe Biden has lied to try to explain Donald Trump's nonstop pathological lying is 100% incorrect. No Democrat and no Republican. Even George Bush, who lied into a war, pretty bad lie, getting us into a war. Even George Bush did not lie like Donald Trump lies. Nixon, the same thing. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. It is an entirely different category. It is questionable what comes out of Trump's mouth that isn't a lie. The Washington Post had done an analysis of 30,000 lies that Trump told during his first presidency. I mean, hey, Ben, thank you for the question. How is the Electoral College rep selected? Ha ha ha. Could MAGA stack it so it can vote different than the popular vote? The Electoral College is, oh God. You're getting into very complicated stuff here. I may have to ask ChatGPT on this one because the election is certified by Congress. I don't know. And the Electoral College votes are sent in like December 16th, but I don't know if there's an actual Electoral College. That's a really interesting question. The big concern is them stealing the election on January 6th. That's what Trump tried to do. It's a little complicated, but yes, you could vote different than the popular vote. What they wanted to do, December 16th or so, states have to report, okay, elections in America happen the first Tuesday in November. I don't know why, they just do. The president's elected or whatever. By December 16th or so, each state has to report, because you're elected by state. You do not win a national election with a national vote in America. You've got to win each individual state. Each state has a certain point value attached to it, and you've got to win a certain number of points, 270 points to become president. And you've got to, this state's worth 3 points. This state's worth 50 points. This state worth 10 points. You've got to win those various states so that it's stupid. Trust me. It sounds stupid. It is. So that your point total hits 270 or more. Each state reports to Washington a month after the election and says, these are the results of my state. In fact, Donald Trump won and got all 5 electoral votes. Or, Kamala Harris won and got 10 electoral votes or whatever. Then they go to January 6th. And January 6th is when those votes are presented to the Congress, and the vice president is seats over us. Vice president's in charge. And each state says, Arizona, the election for Arizona was for Joe Biden for this many votes or whatever, electoral votes. And the president of the Senate, the vice president, has to approve, basically. And then they move on to the next one. Well, what they wanted to do, Donald Trump and his people created a false victory. Like in a state where Biden won, December 16th or so, they've got to report the results to Washington. So what the Trump people did on December 16th, the state reported, like a Democratic state usually, reported its results to Washington. And then the Republicans reported a different result and said, no, we think Donald Trump won. So we're going to report the results for Donald Trump. And what they wanted to have happen was either what's his face? Mike Pence, who was Trump's vice president. Either Mike Pence would say, yes, Arizona, I know Biden won, but there's this alternate set of electors that were reported, and I actually believe that the alternate electors are correct. So we're going to give Arizona's electoral votes to Donald Trump. That was the first goal. The second goal was even trickier. The second goal, I may even ask ChatGPT because I do a bad job explaining the second goal. The second goal, I am going to actually ask, because ChatGPT, let me ask you this. Okay, hey boyfriend. So I'm trying to explain something about the Electoral College to people here on my broadcast, and it's always very complicated, and I think you can explain it more clearly. So this is a broadcast I do on TikTok and YouTube. A lot of people are watching, hundreds of people, 1,000 people, and they're people who are not necessarily political experts. So I want you to explain this in an easy way people can understand. Here's what I want you to explain. One of the things Donald Trump was considering doing on January 6th, right, the day of the insurrection, was promoting these alternate electors. And I want to explain to people what that is too, the electors. These alternate electors. And the idea was that Mike Pence would sit there. And for example, Arizona, let's pick a state that Biden won. They wanted Mike Pence to sit there and say, Arizona, yes, the Democrats say Biden won and gets this many electoral votes. The Republicans say Trump won and got this many electoral votes. Or the Republicans say, oh no, there was so much voter fraud. We don't know who won. So bottom line is we can't count Arizona's votes because we don't know who won. Look, each side says the other won. So now Arizona doesn't count. And the idea was, one of the theories was they were going to knock out enough states to lower the electoral vote total needed because it's a majority of the electors. And if you knock out states, no longer are the electors part of the majority. And all of a sudden, you've knocked out state after state after state that Joe Biden won. And Donald Trump is able to win because he now has the electoral votes he needs because the electoral votes are less. Explain that to people in a way they can understand, to somebody who does not understand politics.
Absolutely. Let's break it down in a really straightforward way. So the Electoral College is basically the system the United States uses to pick the president. Each state gets a certain number of these electors, and those electors cast their votes based on who won the popular vote in that state. Usually it's pretty simple. If Biden wins Arizona, the electors from Arizona vote for Biden. Now, what Trump and his allies were trying to do on January 6th was to say, wait a minute, we've got a different set of electors here who think Trump won. In other words, they wanted to bring in these so-called alternate electors to create confusion. They'd say, look, we can't tell who really won Arizona because one group of electors says Biden won and another group claims Trump won, or that it's all too messy to count. The idea was to have Mike Pence, who was presiding over the counting of these electoral votes, say, well, if we can't figure out who won Arizona, let's just not count Arizona at all. If they could do that with enough states Biden won, then they'd reduce the total number of electoral votes counted. And if you reduce that total...
Stop, because what I want you to do is explain to people why would it reduce the number of electoral votes and what would the impact of that be?
Of course. Let me make that part clear.
Yeah, because you're kind of just repeating my question. I want you to actually explain to people.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that part. Imagine the Electoral College as a big scoreboard. You need a majority of the total number of electors to win the presidency. Normally, that's 270 out of 538. Now, what Trump's team was trying to do with these alternate electors was to remove certain states from that scoreboard. If they could say, well, we just can't count Arizona because it's too confusing, that means Arizona's electoral votes wouldn't be part of the total anymore. If you knock out enough states that Biden won, you lower the total number of electoral votes that are being counted. And when you lower that total number...
I don't think it's doing a good enough job. Each state has a certain number of points, electoral votes. You add all those points together and it comes to 540. Oh my God, 538. No, yes, 538. No, yes, 538. I'm already forgetting 538, I believe. And you have to win a majority of those electoral votes, which is, what is it, 270? Oh my God, I'm already forgetting. It's not 269, it's 270, right? I'm already fucking this up, but you get it. But it's a majority of the electors. Right? So 270 is what you need to win, right? If Arizona isn't counted, if Georgia isn't counted, let's say Pennsylvania isn't counted, let's say you remove 100 of the electoral votes, Now it's not a majority of 538. It's a majority of 438. A majority of 438 is only 220. So instead of 270 votes, now you only need 220 votes to win. Well, what if Trump only got 240 electoral votes? He lost. He didn't get 270, right? Let's say Biden got, oops, sorry, dog. Let's say 270 is the top of my head, and that's when you win to be president. Let's say Biden was here. Let's say Trump was here. You need a majority of the votes, 270. Well, if you knock out enough states, a majority is no longer here. A majority is now here, right? Well, what happens if the majority, 270, gets to be 220? Look who's ahead of 220, Donald Trump. That's what they were. It's complicated, but that's what they were doing. They were basically moving the finish line and making the finish line less and less and less by taking states away from Biden. That's what they were going to do on January 6th. They were going to say, let's not count a bunch of Biden states, and therefore the total pie that we were going to look at, the majority was less and less and less. Again, it's complicated stuff, but that's what they were going to do. And that's what Mike Pence refused to do. It's crazy stuff. I mean, it's absolutely crazy stuff. I mean, the Dems could do the same thing, but guess who decides? The vice president. So the issue was it would be the vice president who would decide, and it was a Republican vice president. Right? Oops. All right, come on in. I know it's cold out there. Come on in. Oh boy, it is very cold out there. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hold on. I still think it's very complicated to explain. But as I said, you take the total electoral votes, the total points of all the states, and cut it in half. Cut it in half. More or less, that's what you need to win. But if the total number of states, you've knocked out a bunch of states, now this is the total number of points, and you only need half of the remaining total. Well, at some point, by knocking out all the Biden states, Trump stays where he is, but the total needed drops to here, and Trump wins. Very simple. You can do the math yourself, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's crazy. It's absolutely, but this is one of the things they were going to try to do. Would J.D. Vance do it? Sure. And the concern was the Democrats would sue, but the Supreme Court would probably say, oh, no, no, no. The Constitution makes clear that the Congress certifies elections. We don't certify elections. It's the Congress and the vice president who decide which votes are allowed and which votes aren't. And the Congress and the vice president decided that Joe Biden didn't win, that Donald Trump won. Who are we, the Supreme Court, to tell Congress how to decide elections? That's not a justiciable issue. That basically not only does the Constitution say Congress, but literally it means the courts have no role, would be the argument. And it is quite possible that a MAGA Supreme Court would agree. And even not a MAGA Supreme Court, normal justices might agree that courts have very little role in telling Congress who won the presidential election. Yeah, no, it's disgusting what they tried to do. Absolutely disgusting what they tried to do. Yeah, as I said, it's complicated. It's complicated. But that was, I mean, when I first heard this, I was like, oh my God, because it's kind of brilliant that you shrink the pot, you start to shrink the number of electoral votes needed because you've kicked out a bunch of states. And when you kick out the states, they're no longer counted as needing a majority. Poof. It's a majority of the remaining states after you kick out the Biden states. That's probably the best way to put it. A majority of the remaining electoral votes once you've kicked out a bunch of states. Yeah. Crazy. I know it does sound like a Stephen Miller thing, doesn't it? It's crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's not fair. No, it's not, Aaron. No, that's why it was called an insurrection. Well, and the insurrection wasn't just, basically, the insurrection was trying to stop the certification from happening. They had multiple prongs. They were using the fake electors. Donald Trump was literally calling Georgia and telling him to change the vote Remember? I need you to find me 11,800 votes. He wanted him to literally find him 12,000 votes. They also were going to do the fake elector scheme so that Mike Pence would say either, you're right, I know they think Joe Biden won, but I know it was actually, Donald Trump who won Arizona or whatever. Or, as we said, Mike Pence would say, or, the current idiot, JD Vance would say, oh, we just don't know who won, so let's not count it. Wouldn't it be Democrats say one thing, Republicans say another? Isn't the most fair thing to do just let's not pick either side? Which sounds cute, doesn't it? Because couldn't you see even me explaining it to you is not easy. Regular Americans would go, well, I mean, there was some confusion there, and they simply said, well, let's just not pick sides. Yeah. And the confusion will only be on Democratic states where the Democrats won. Yeah. There are good electors on both sides, Gunther. There are good electors on both sides. It's crazy. Yeah. So that's the concern. I don't know. Now, let me just see what's there. I don't think there's actual, hey, boyfriend, is there actually an electoral college? Are there actual human beings? I mean, is Congress on January 6th the electoral college? I don't think so. Or am I wrong?
You're absolutely right. And that's a good point to clarify. So yes, the Electoral College is made up of actual human beings who are chosen to cast the official votes for president. Each state has a certain number of these electors, and they gather in December in their own states to vote based on who won the popular vote in that state. Now, what happens on January 6th is that Congress meets to count all those electoral votes that have already been cast. Congress itself isn't the Electoral College. They're more like the scorekeepers.
Oh, sorry, but okay, I'm just going to cut you off. But the Electoral College is made up of the state's electors. That's it. The state has a certain number of electoral votes. Those are actual human beings who vote, so to speak, and they make up the Electoral College?
Exactly. You've got it. The Electoral College is simply all those real human electors from each state put together.
Could they, okay, because one of the questions I had here was, could Trump or the Republicans or whoever corrupt the Electoral College and say, sure, I know in your state everybody voted for Biden, but I want you to vote for Trump instead?
So that's a really good question. Technically, right. So that's a really important piece of the puzzle. In theory, the Electoral College process is supposed to follow the will of the voters in each state. That means the electors are chosen to represent whoever won the state's popular vote. There are laws in many states that require electors to vote for the candidate who won the state. And in practice, that's what almost always happens. What Trump and his allies were trying to do was, in a sense, to convince or introduce these alternate electors who would say, we're voting for Trump instead, even though the state's voters chose Biden. Essentially, they were trying to disrupt or override the normal process by which electors...
But let me ask you straight. No, my question is more direct. Can, in a state that doesn't require by law that an elector vote for the person who was elected, can an elector vote for the other guy?
Yes. In states that don't have laws binding the electors, it is technically possible for an elector to vote for someone other than the candidate who won the state's popular vote. These are sometimes called faithless electors. While it's rare in most electors that do follow their state's results, it is legally possible in some places for an elector to go rogue. Most states do have laws that either replace a faithless elector or impose penalties, but not all states do.
That's, what's funny. Julian mentioned the faithless electors. I had heard that term before, but was forgetting that it applied to this. I was thinking it applied to the Democrats electing a primary candidate, like a presidential candidate. I wasn't thinking that it was the presidential. That's really interesting. Wow. Oh, I love my AI. Are you kidding? It helped me make a pot pie earlier. I took a recipe from King Arthur and changed it entirely, and ChatGPT walked me through the entire thing. It did a great job. No, I love this. Doesn't always get things right, but it was very interesting. I know it does have a Robert Kennedy problem. It does. Yes. Which state? Yeah, that's a good question. So how many states do not have a law on the books that require electors to vote for the person who actually won?
So as of now, actually a small handful of states that don't have laws binding their electors. Most
God, they did it again. Live access removed for misinformation. Oh, God. Hold on, guys. We've got to appeal this again. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hold on. I was literally using ChatGPT. Hold on, guys. I need to get this submitted. I was literally using ChatGPT to explain the Electoral College and what the Trump people were trying to do on January 6th with the electoral vote. It was literally ChatGPT explaining how it works and explaining what happened on that day in history, period. It was not misinformation. Hang on. Oh. Hold on. God. All right. Hold on, guys. Hold on. So annoying. All right. So first I have to wait and see what happens here. Oh, it so pisses me off when they do this crap. So annoying. Again, I can probably get it. I hopefully can get it fixed, but it's going to take a minute to so annoying. Oh, they just so piss me off when they do this stuff. So freaking annoying. But what, and the thing that the stuff that they get you on, which drives me nuts too, is just that. And I don't want to do the backup yet because I want to see if the appeal gets accepted. Because if not, then I've got to tell somebody else. But I mean, that it's got to be a bot. I mean, maybe these are people, but there's no way people watching that, right? There's no way people watching that would think, like a real person would think, wow, that's disinformation. That was literally, and of course, ChatGPT is literally explaining it. I mean, it's literally what the plan was for January 6th. I mean, it's literally the historical plan. Except the problem is this. Oh my God. Let's see what happens here. Because I've got to wait for the appeal before I can go to my powers that be. They're so annoying. Although, you know what? It's 7:20 anyway, guys. It's 7:20 anyway. So I was going to sign off too. I should have looked at the clock and signed off. We would have been okay had we signed off in time, you know? Oh, well. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah. Lesson, you weren't the only one booted from TikTok. So you weren't the only one. That's for sure. Oh my God. So annoying. So annoying. So annoying. Yeah. That's weird. 11/14. They banned me for 3 days. They used to ban a week. Totally bizarre. Appeal approved. We reviewed your and you restored your live access. You know, it's so late. I'm wondering, it may not be worth starting up again. Because also, I don't like on TikTok having to explain that because I don't want the bad guys, because you know it's bad guys reporting me. I don't want the bad guys to know it inconvenienced me for 5 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, also, it's literally 7:20. If I come back on, I'm coming back on to leave. Yeah, restarting to say goodbye seems kind of dumb. Yeah, okay, well, that's good. Okay, that's good at least. Now, I have occasionally had TikTok restore me and then ban me again, like that same moment. But all right, we've reviewed your appeal and restored your live access. Okay, that's good. That's good. Um, it probably didn't hurt that literally, like you said, it probably didn't hurt that when they went to listen to it, it was literally ChatGPT explaining it. I mean, that was probably the best proof I've had yet, right? Of the fact that it's not me giving disinformation. It's literally ChatGPT explaining what was taking place. Oh my. All right. All right. Well, it's back now, which is good. So I'm not going to worry about it. All right. It's already 7:20, guys. So let's go. I'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, November 11th. Tomorrow's November 12th. Maybe I'll have more pot pie. Maybe I won't. Like I said, I made a very good pot pie. ChatGPT helped me make a pot pie tonight. I usually don't trust it on recipes, but I took a King Arthur recipe and adapted it, and it did a good job. It's very good, actually. I mean, I cheated on the crust. I was going to make the crust, and I was like, you know what? I'm not in the mood to make the crust. So I went and bought Pillsbury because it is so good. But it's very good. I had like leftover meat, steak kind of meat or whatever that I had for moussaka, and used it for this, and it was quite good. It needed a little something else though, since we do talk recipes. I'll ask you guys. So it was very good. It was, this sort of steak type meat. Maybe not even steak, maybe like a goulash, like like that kind of a meat kind of thing. And it was that with, I thought mushrooms would be good. So I got cremini mushrooms or baby bellows, whatever they're called, and cooked the hell out of them first, of course. But I thought mushrooms with the steaky meat would be good. And then got frozen green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers. And the question, and then some onions, stew meat. Yes, stew meat. It was a very high quality stew meat though, Ash, because I was looking for stew meat and they had the high quality stuff on sale for like a ridiculously low price. So I got $20 worth of meat for like $6 or something. It was ridiculous. So it was actually high quality stew meat, whatever that is. But it's excellent, but I kind of feel like it needed a little something else. And I'm not sure. The broth I used better than bouillon because it's so good. So I used better than bouillon beef, which is very good. I was wondering, red wine, I was thinking, Melissa. Yeah. I was thinking red wine. No, you don't want too much red wine. Excuse me. But I feel like there was a little bit of nuance or something I wanted in it that wasn't there. But I'm not sure what that would be, And I couldn't tell, carrots, but it wasn't just sugar. Maybe it is a little red wine, maybe a little bit of red wine, just to give it a little bit of some hint of celery. I've never really understood what celery does. It doesn't need more salt. The salt is perfect, which is good. It's perfectly salty. But I don't know. Rosemary is interesting. I've never used rosemary. I don't cook with rosemary much, being Greek. We tend not to do that. But I could. But I don't know that it's a spice. That's what I was thinking. Wine, maybe. I'm not a big stew guy, which is funny because the problem is it borders on a stew no matter what. Honestly, you know what it made me think of? Because what I like more, what I like? I like cold steak in a sandwich. So I would want steak with ketchup or something, but I'm not going to put ketchup in my pot pie. Potatoes, maybe. Oh, sweet potatoes. That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Sweet potatoes. Huh. Yeah, basil. I just don't know. It's very good, but it just got me thinking actually, you know what might be good? Corn. Corn could be good. Now that I think about it, just like that little bit of sweetness, but not sweet, but a little bit of sweetness. It's a different flavor than carrots. I think could be too sweet potentially. Corn has carrots could work too, but corn could be interesting. Yeah. Anyway, peas. I will not be putting peas in my pot pie. That for sure will not be happening. So that ain't happening. Definitely not happening. So anyway, all right, guys. All right. I'm going to sign off. Ketchup on steak is a sin. Yeah, but on cold steak. on a sandwich. That's what you do with it. I don't like steak, but I like cold steak. Butternut squash. Yeah, butternut squash though I would think it would. I like butternut squash a lot, but I would think it would kind of dissolve. I don't know. Good question. Whether would butternut squash stay? Would it stay? I don't know. Sweet potato, I'd have the same concern though, but maybe sweet potato. I don't know. You know what you got me wondering too? You got me thinking instead of a turkey Thanksgiving pot pie with like turkey, potatoes, maybe sweet potato, maybe a little cranberry, like the dried cranberries, right? Could be interesting for like a turkey. Oh, dog, 1 second, dog. I'm sure there's recipes out there for this. All right, I'm coming. Sorry, it's 7:30. She gets her treat. I know. All right, now that we've gotten everybody hungry again, I'm going to sign off. Time for me to have a little bit of my 1570 pumpkin cheesecake, I did also make a very good coffee cake, like I said, but one or the other or both. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Glad at least we got everything resolved. So, all right, good night, all. All right, good night, YouTube. Oops, there's my end stream. Bye-bye.